You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have another show lined up for y'all. Today we're going to talk to our special guest for today, Miss Barby Ingle. She is the cheerleader of hope, and we're going to talk about a special topic that I think is very important for all of us to be a part of, advocating for proper and timely health care. We're going to learn all about her today, and first and foremost, I want to welcome you, Barby, and say how you doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to sharing with you and with your audience, and hopefully some of the tips and tricks that I share will help them get better access to care and get some of the things fulfilled in their life that they need when it comes to getting the proper treatment.
And you've been featured on many platforms on this topic, so you are definitely an expert in this field. You also are a best-selling author, and you, like I said, you're the one that's doing all the advocating, doing all this amazing thing with education on chronic pain and patient advocates. So I want to say for a second, thank you for what you do for the community. And I'll let you have the keys to the floor and castle and do your thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much again for having me. I'm excited to be here. I am here because I have developed rare diseases and chronic pain myself, and it put me down this rabbit hole of a journey. And I decided that I could use my story and my voice to make a difference, to help other people not make the same mistakes that I made going down the rabbit hole of healthcare. And it started for me. I started with endometriosis, which is a disease that women get. And that went okay, going through the treatment, but it did take a few years. And then I developed a rare disease called reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And that is, reflex is anything in your body that's automatic, goes haywire. So your swallowing, your digestion, your eyes ability to create tears, all of that goes haywire. Reflex is your nervous system. And I have a feeling of burning fire pain. And it's very difficult to put that fire out. And dystrophy is loss of muscle and bone. I took 3 years to get a proper diagnosis. 42 doctors got it wrong before a doctor got it right. And I spent about 7 years in a wheelchair because even though I was diagnosed after 3 years, it took another 4 years to get a treatment that was right for me. And I think that that's one of the biggest things is understanding that healthcare should be individualized, and that all access should be on the table for all humans. And it shouldn't matter your background. It shouldn't matter if you're rich or poor or where you come from, where you're born. Everybody should have access to care. And some of the things that I did were preventing access to care. So I wanted to do something that could get me the care I needed, but also be duplicatable with other people. So learning how to negotiate bills and learning how to get the bill not only negotiated before you go in for a treatment, procedure, medication, whatever it is that you're needing, but know that you can also follow up and still negotiate after you've gotten the care and save yourself some time, money, energy, and effort, as well as being sure that you get the right care for you. And so many things I rushed in and tried to do without asking questions, paying attention, and really thinking about the ramifications of what's going to happen in my future. Could have been avoided. The complications I went through could have been avoided had I even just asked questions from the start. I didn't. I just trusted everybody that was in front of me. And there's some great doctors, but there's also some not so great medical providers out there as well. So it's really important to ask questions and don't do anything that you're not comfortable with doing.
And
that's kind of where it started for me.
And speaking of that, where it started for you, you also, the whole statement I said with Cheerleader of Hope, it's a story behind that, because you performed cheerleading, dance, and gymnastics at a young age all the way through college. And that plays a heavy role in this whole story too. So what was that like when all this disrupt your life? Because it's one thing when you are trying to get things taken care of, but it's another thing when you have to adapt to life happening and you are everything's disrupted. You instantly have to make adjustments and keep yourself afloat.
Yeah, I was not prepared. Truthfully, I was not prepared. I was taking life for granted and not paying attention to the pebbles God was dropping me. And then he just threw a big boulder in my road and was like, all right, you're not going to pay attention to these little things in your life. Let's pay attention to this big thing. And I went from on top of the world, being a head coach at a Division 1A university, to having my own cheer and dance training company, to not being able to get out of bed. When I did, I would be wheelchair bound and really couldn't live the life that I was living. I lost my job. I lost my company. I was married for 10 years. I lost that first husband, went down to food stamps, not knowing where I was going to live, what I was going to do. And I had to build it back up, turn it back around, and rebuild an entire life for myself. And now I have an awesome husband. And I'm able to go out and advocate and show other people that just because you lose it all, and I mean literally lose it all, doesn't mean that you can't come back from that and you can't grow, learn, and re-enter society doing something different, but maybe even more meaningful than what you were living prior to whatever it is or whatever challenge is affecting you in your life and living to the fullest. And I learned that there's a million ways to do something. And I was so stuck in my ways. My husband says I just thought in terms of black and white. This is right, this is wrong. There's no color in between. And my life has had to become full of color because I had to learn ways around the limitations physically that I was facing, financially that I was facing, spiritually, emotionally. Every aspect of my life was impacted. And I remembered back to my dad saying, how are you down on the field smiling when your team is losing 50-0? Like, there's no hope. Why are you still hopeful? And when I had lost everything, I pulled back on those skills and tools that I learned in cheerleading and dance to get me through the hardest times in my life. And feeling like, okay, on the football field or basketball court, if your team is losing, you keep cheering no matter what. You know, maybe the score is 50-0, but we could hope that we could get a basket in the last 2 seconds and it would be 50-2. And at least we didn't lose not trying our best. And that's all we can ask of each other, is that we try our best. So having that cheerleader mentality and taking those tools with responsibility and time management and relationships and being social, and taking that from feeling like now, instead of it being a football game, it's my life and I'm fighting and struggling to win my life. And we only die once. We have to live every day, finding ways to live every single day, even if that meant being bedbound that day or getting up and doing something for an hour or two, like a doctor's appointment or a family member's birthday party, and then having to go straight back to bed. It still was me being able to do something and recognizing that whatever it was that I accomplished that day, no matter how big or small, it counted. And it was still part of living life. As long as I was taking a step forward and always going forward, it didn't matter if the score was 50-0. I still had a chance to score. And I would start celebrating the little things that were happening in life. And, you know, I spent 2 hours out of bed today, or I only slept 18 hours instead of 20 today. These are wins now. And I redefined what winning meant. That really helped me become a cheerleader of hope. And not only for myself, but also for other people.
And the reason why I mentioned that is because that's when, you know, you are living your life with a meaning, a purpose. You know, that time you're pursuing your goals and your dreams. But you were battling chronic pain since 1997. In 2002, you developed RSD, and that had its effects on you where you had to use a wheelchair just to get out of bed. And it took 3 years to get a proper diagnosis and another 4 years to get proper treatment. That's a long period of time of having to adjust to a change in your life that was beyond your control, but you had to maintain a certain mindset to not allow yourself to give up, but to press forward. When you do that and you speed up to what you're doing today, advocating for proper and timely health care, people listening to the show can now really kind of get a picture of why this is so important for you. You're trying to prevent others to having to have a prolonged treatment. And even though you're still searching for answers, you're helping people learn as you're learning as well. What has helped you thus far, if you talk in today's current time? Was the most important thing that you learned through this process being able to really educate yourself?
For me, the name of your show, I Am Refocused. I was going one direction in life, and when everything crashed around me, I didn't know what to do. I struggled a lot physically, mentally, emotionally. And once I refocused and said, okay, I can still be a cheerleader. I just have to do it differently. I can still be myself. I just have to do it differently. One of the things that helped me the most was I went to counseling for a little while, and the therapist had me do an exercise called I Am. And I thought, I am nothing. I suck. I lost everything. Everything I worked for is gone, and I will never be anything again. And he helped me talk through my I ams and realize that my I ams aren't necessarily what I do. They're who I am. I am bubbly. I am fantastic. I am all the positive adjectives, and I can be two opposing things at the same time. They still both are a part of me, and that is helpful in finding my self-worth. And I am worthy, and I am focused. And I started going through my I ams and very quickly developed the list of 50 and then 75. And now my list is up to 150. And I keep it here on my desk with me. And if I'm having a bad time, a bad moment, I can go back to my list and read through it and see all the things that I am, even if right now in this moment I don't feel as strong or I'm not able to get up and get out of bed. I still have it around me that just because I am this in this moment doesn't mean this is who I am always, and that I have the ability to change it and to move forward. And having that proper mindset helped me get through some of the challenges that I faced and break them down into smaller pieces and realize, yes, the challenge in front of me is huge, but the more I can break it down into steps, the more I can do, the more I accomplish. And whether that's with healthcare or relationships or anything that you want to do in life, if you break it down, you can eventually accomplish what it is that you're out to accomplish. And recognizing that and seeing that really helped me get through, as well as getting my financial situation under control. I had over $1 million in medical bills with all the things I was going through, and starting to negotiate with the medical providers and the hospitals and reaching out and asking for help. And one of the things I like to leave people with is there's a great reason for hope, because there is help. All you have to do is reach out and seek it. And oftentimes, I know I did this. I try to do everything myself. And the more I struggled and fought through the situation, instead of breaking it down into bite-sized pieces that I could accomplish and keep moving forward, the harder it got to overcome that challenge. So breaking down any challenge you're facing, not just in healthcare, but any challenge you're facing, and be willing to reach out and seek help and ask, hey, I need this treatment. It will help me accomplish this in life. I can pay you this much a month, or can you take me on as a charity case? I've asked for charity case situations on medical bills that were over $100,000 for one bill. And I've reached out to my community and churches and food banks and wherever I needed help, I learned to get humble and reach out and ask for the help that I needed, or a resource, or, hey, this doctor is not able to offer me the treatment I want. I can go to other patients in the community and say, hey, what are you doing? Is this a treatment that was viable for you? Okay, let me see, research, and understand this treatment. And if it's right for me, get to an appropriate doctor, which takes reaching out and seeking what other people in the community are going through and what they're doing, so that you can get ideas and be able to check and see if it fits into what you need. And just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. So be aware of that, but be open to having anything on the table and being able to say, this is for me, this is not for me. Don't sit on the fence. If something is not right for you, walk out. I've walked out of a hospital room before, or crawled out actually, and moved to a different hospital because I wasn't getting the care I needed. Don't be afraid to say, you're not providing me what I need, and move on to another provider, move on to someone who treats you with respect and dignity, and within the ability that they have as well. You can ask somebody for help, but if they don't have the tool to help you, maybe they know somebody that does, that they can connect you with and be a bridge. Or maybe you just say, okay, I like you as a person. I'll swing back around and talk to you once I can. But it's okay to say, I need to move on so that I can further my purpose here on earth, and, be willing to do those types of things.
Listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Barby Ingle, the cheerleader of hope. In her website, you can go to barbyingle.com. We're talking about advocating for proper and timely health care. You have tons of experience, and I want to ask a question that you can answer however you want, but is it important for someone who may know someone in this condition, or them in this condition themselves personally, how important, or is it important at all, to think of this as an opportunity for you to actually lead for your own personal health care versus react to your current condition? Because I think it's a difference between how you look at this. Like, I love how you made the point that if you feel like you're not getting the proper treatment, don't be silent about it. Go make noise, do what you got to do to get someone's attention. How important is it for that mindset that I have to lead myself out of this versus react to this and say, oh, woe is me?
Absolutely. One of the people that I worked with when I was able to work, I had a conversation with her, and she taught me, I use the word challenge. Like, this is a life challenge versus issue. She would say, Barbie, you keep bringing these issues to me. Why don't you look at them as a challenge? And it's like you're saying, if you lead yourself, if you lead others, you can get through a challenge. If you have issues and you react in a way that will turn off the communication between you and the other person, or burn a bridge between you and the other person, you're not going to accomplish what you need with that person in an easy manner. But if you reach out and you lead it and say, hey, can we get creative? I need this. You can help me get it. Let's work together. You'll go a lot further in getting the health care that you need, especially with the doctor. A lot of doctors have like a complex of, I can fix everybody, so I may be better than God. God made you like that, and now I can fix you. And God didn't make you like that. I don't believe that. But I don't believe that the doctor is God either. We're taught from early childhood, whatever the doctor says is what it is. But doctors can be wrong. Nurses can be wrong. Physical therapists can be wrong. Speaking up and leading yourself to and through whatever the challenge is before you is what is going to make you a stronger, healthier, more purposeful human being that's able to contribute to yourself first and then to society. And when it's like when you're on a plane, you have to put your own oxygen on, be the best you can be, and then you can help other people. So remember that as you're also going through all of these challenges and you're leading yourself through. Once you get through, even if you're not where you want to get yet, there's always people on that same mountain as you trying to climb, and you feel like you're in a valley, but your valley is 10,000 feet up and there's people looking up at you going, wow, I want to be there. And how do I get there? You can give them a hand up, and while you're still going through your challenges, and you never know, the person you're giving a hand up to might have a different resource or tool that you can exchange, and you guys can flourish together and fulfill a purpose together. And then you can move on and work on those areas that you need to continue working on. But don't be afraid to also give people a hand up as you can. As long as your oxygen's on and your basic needs are met, you can help yourself at the same time that you're helping other people. So keep that in mind, and remember that, we're all a part of humanity, and with hope we can get through, but we also have to take action. And being the leader in your situation, recognizing, okay, my caregiver can only do so much a day. So how can I reorganize what I need around what my caregiver can offer? How can I organize or reorganize, refocus my life so that it can be the best for me that it can be, but also best for the people that are around me in my network, in my sphere, so that all of us aren't dragged down by one issue that we have, but that we can lift each other up through our challenges and live the most life with the most purpose for everyone around us.
Once again, talking to our special guest, Barby Ingle, and topic, advocating for proper and timely health care. Someone listening right now, and they're like, okay, I can do better. So it's personal. It's not just someone they know, but it's me, or maybe it's someone they know. What is the proper way, and based on your personal experience, the best valuable way for an individual to get the most out of the doctor's appointment? Because if you take the action and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to make it plain. I'm going to go see my doctor. I'm going to make this appointment. How do they make most of that doctor's appointment?
The best way and I've tried many different ways, but the best way that's helped me and helped the providers that I go see is that I create a one-pager. And that when I go to the doctor's office, as you all will go to the doctor's office, they give you all this paperwork right at the beginning. And on that paperwork, I'll write "see attached." And I have my one pager, and it has the questions that I come up with prior to my appointment. It has any medications I'm on. It has any medications that I've tried and had major problems with. Because my list gets longer and longer, so I need to update them. And then it also has all my procedures listed on there. But the most important thing on there is the questions in between appointments, or if this is your first appointment. Anything that you can think of ahead of time, keep that piece of paper in front of you during your appointment, and make sure that you're going through and you're asking the questions that you need asked. So if the nurse or the medical provider tries to take you down a different path, you can get back to your questions and say, well, I need these 5 things answered before I leave, and make sure that you get those 5 things answered so that you understand the plan, that you and your medical provider have a buy-in to what the plan is for you, so that in between appointments, you can take care of yourself. You're responsible for yourself, except for in that 15, 20 minutes that you're in there with your medical provider. Going into that provider meeting, to that doctor appointment with a plan on paper, and just keep it to one piece of paper. And I know, like, my medical records are 5 feet tall, which is how tall I am. And I know you can have a lot of medical records, but what does that medical provider need to know that's happened to you in the last 6 months to a year that will help them see the big picture, as well as the intricate parts that you need them to be sure to know, and get those questions answered. If you can get your questions answered going in to your medical appointment, it will make the rest of the month or 2 or 3 months in between appointments that much easier for you to work towards a goal and accomplishment. And if you're not able to do so, keeping track in between of your appointments as to, look, I tried this and it made me worse. I tried your suggestion of doing, a heating pad, and that made me better. So thank you for that suggestion, but this other suggestion didn't work. Do you have something else that would be more helpful? Or this medication or medical procedure didn't work as expected, or I had some kind of side effects. Keeping track of that, bringing that up at your appointment and having that on your one pager. At the end of my medical appointment, after I got my questions answered, I will say, please attach this one pager to my medical records. And I've had situations just this past week. I had a situation where I called the doctor and said, I have an emergency and I'm on my way to the emergency room. He was able to call ahead and let them know I was coming in and give them the pertinent information. And he was able to use my one pager for what's the latest things going on in Barbie's life to get me the best care possible when I went into an emergency situation with doctors who have no clue who I am. All they know is somebody's arriving anytime now. And he was able to fill them in and get me the best timely care possible just by using my one pager, not having to go through all of his own notes to see what happened and get refreshers. He can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what you need to do to take care of Barbie and give me that care faster in that emergency situation. So it's very helpful to have a one pager.
And once again, talking to Barby Ingle, this is very important information. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. Barbie's not a doctor, but we're basically trying to help you understand her story and why she's advocating for proper and timely health care. And with you having to deal with the challenge of a chronic condition and chronic pain, you know what it feels like. You know what it takes for you to get through the day and for you to get the help that you need from doctors. And using, like you said, one pagers or just, notes and whatever to make sure that they're on the same page and no one's, trying to prolong the screening or whatever the process is, but you're helping them help you is what I'm getting out of this conversation.
Absolutely. And the more adjectives you can use, the better. Yeah. So if you go in and you say, I'm in pain, help me, I did that for a lot of years. And then I realized that didn't help the doctors help me. When I was able to say the pain is fire, burning, stabbing, shooting, electric pain, using those adjectives to describe what you're feeling is very helpful to a medical provider to know which path to go down, because there's different tools and treatments that they can use depending on how you describe your pain or how you describe the situation you're going through with any health challenge. So make sure that you use your adjectives and you also stay organized when you go into those appointments. And I am not a provider medically, but I do get credit hours, or doctors do get credit hours from listening to me talk and share my journey and what I've gone through. So I do teach doctors. So, but as you said, I am not a doctor myself.
But with your passion advocating for proper health care and timely health care, you are helping people to go to doctors with confidence and not just say, hey, fix me, but hey, here's some things that are going on. Here's some specifics so that way I can help you help me better. So with that, I think that's important. And one, thank you for taking the time to talk to our audience about that. Before we let you go, someone wants to check you out, they can go to your website, barbyingle.com. But if someone wanted to invite you to speak based on your personal experience, because you have done, man, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you've done over 1,000 media appearances, and that's a lot. That's a lot of talking. That's a lot of interviews. How can someone invite you to help share your news and your story to help others?
They can reach out to me through email, Barby at internationalpain.org. That's my email, and they can reach out to me there and just send a request. Or you can use the contact us form or contact me form on my website, barbyingle.com. And I also have 9 books available on Amazon. So on many different topics, from healthcare to my story to motivation, to communication and relationships, and a children's book. So definitely a wide variety of topics that I talk about, speak about, and share.
Once again, having a true honor talking to our special guest, the one and only Barby Ingle. And go to her website, barbyingle.com, and learn more about what she can help you with her resources. You also have opportunities to not just help them learn about your story, but to educate them to build a better relationship with their doctor, so that way their doctor can better help them as an individual. So once again, I want to say thank you for taking time in your schedule to talk to I'm Refocused Radio today.
Thank you for having me.